question. Who are you beyond the money?
So for you,
who are you beyond the money?
Why you like bringing up my money?
No, you like to bring up your money.
Stop everything you're doing right now, because the clip that just broke the internet has everyone losing their minds. And if you haven't seen it yet, you are about to understand why absolutely nobody is talking about anything else today. We're talking shade, receipts, a mop joke that somehow became the most quoted line of the week, and a confrontation so tense you could feel it through the screen. Stay with me, because this one goes so many layers deep, and trust me, you do not want to miss what happens at the end. So let's paint the picture. 2 women, 1 room, and enough unspoken tension to fill an entire season of television. From the outside, it might look like just another reality TV argument. But the people who are watching closely, they caught something much bigger going on underneath the surface. This wasn't just a fight. This was 2 very different ideas of power colliding in real time. And somebody walked out of that room looking like a completely different person than who walked in. It starts, like so many iconic moments do, with a question that sounds simple but absolutely is not. The question on the table is essentially, why didn't you come to me directly? Why did I have to hear through other people that there was a problem? And on the surface, that sounds reasonable. That sounds like a mature adult asking for accountability. But here's where things get messy, because the person being asked that question, Tiffany, had a very specific reason for staying silent. And when she finally said it out loud, the entire dynamic of this conversation flipped upside down. Tiffany's answer wasn't defensive. It wasn't emotional. It was ice cold and completely calculated. She basically said, I didn't know you well enough to entertain what you were bringing to the table. And what was being brought to the table? A multi-million-dollar opportunity. A week, a deal, something big. And Tiffany, reportedly, had the number, meaning she could have reached out. She chose not to. Now, why would someone choose not to respond to a multi-million-dollar conversation? That right there is the question that sent fans absolutely spiraling online. But wait, before you land on an answer, you need to hear what comes next, because this is where the conversation takes a turn that nobody in that room seemed ready for. The other woman, clearly frustrated, clearly feeling like she's been dismissed, starts circling back to money. She keeps bringing it up. The numbers, the deal, the opportunity. And Tiffany, cool as ever, stops her mid-sentence and says something that honestly made half the internet put their phone down for a second. She says, you always circle back to the money. And then she asks the most disarming question of the entire exchange. She says, who are you beyond the money? 5 words. And the room went silent. Now fans are completely divided on this moment. Half of them are calling Tiffany a queen. They're saying she exposed something real. That when someone can only justify themselves through financial success, it says something about what they actually have to offer. The other half, they think Tiffany was deflecting. They think she used that question as a weapon to avoid answering for her own behavior. And honestly, both sides have a point, because here's the thing about a question like who are you beyond the money? It sounds profound, but it can also be a very elegant way of changing the subject. And Tiffany knew exactly what she was doing. Here's where things get messy, because then the accusation shifts. The other woman fires back and says, no, you're the one who keeps bringing up money. I bring up character. And suddenly the whole argument flips. Now we're not talking about the deal anymore. We're talking about who started what, and who is actually obsessed with status versus who is genuinely concerned with the kind of person someone is. And the audience, in the room and at home, is trying to figure out who to believe. Then comes the line that made everyone rewind their screens twice. The accusation, it gave jealous. As in your whole energy coming into this space, before we even got to the serious conversation, before civil rights even entered the room, you were already in the car talking about this woman and her money. That detail, the car conversation, is so specific. It means someone was either present or someone told. And neither of those options is good for the person being accused. Fans noticed something shocking in this moment. The fact that a car conversation was brought up at all means there were witnesses. There were people listening. And that means this conflict was not as private as either of them probably thought it was. Now let's talk about what was said about Tiffany. Because before this confrontation even happened, there was commentary floating around that described her as someone who is, quote, all about her success, all about her money, no substance. And when Tiffany found out that's how she was being characterized, that was the fuel that lit this entire fire. Because here's what you need to understand. Being called successful is a compliment. Being called someone who has nothing beyond their success, that is a very different thing. That is an attack on your identity. And for someone like Tiffany, who clearly carries herself with enormous pride, that kind of comment doesn't land softly. But wait, here's the twist that the internet couldn't stop talking about. The person who made those comments didn't just say them behind Tiffany's back and leave it there. They actually said, "I talked to my friend about it, but then I came directly to you." As if coming to you directly cancels out the fact that you already told someone else first. And Tiffany's reaction to that is what I need you to really pay attention to. Because she didn't explode. She didn't go point by point. She just let the irony sit there in the air. Because what was the original complaint? Why didn't you come to me directly? And now here's this person admitting they talked to a friend first, before coming to the source. The hypocrisy landed like a brick. Fans in the comments could not believe the self-awareness wasn't there in that moment. And then, just when you think this conversation is about to find some kind of resolution, just when it seems like both women are at least facing each other honestly, it happens. The line. The one that turned a serious conversation about character and money and jealousy and integrity into a meme that is still being screenshot and shared as we speak. Someone says, "It gave that you came in here and pressed about a mop." A mop. Out of nowhere. In the middle of what was essentially a debate about identity and substance and who has more of it. Somebody brought up a mop. And then, before the dust could even settle, before anyone could fully process what just happened, it escalates into, "Your hair looks like a goddamn mop today." And just like that, the whole intellectual framework of the argument collapsed. Everything about character, about money, about jealousy and substance and who you are beyond your success, all of it dissolved into a hair insult. And the audience reaction was split three ways. Some people laughed, some people cringed, and some people, the ones who were really paying attention, understood that the mop comment was a defense mechanism. When you're losing a conversation intellectually, when someone has outmaneuvered you emotionally, when the room is tilting against you, sometimes the only move left is to go personal, to go low, to make it about something physical that you can actually see and attack. And that's what that moment was. Here's where things get messy one final time, because after that comment, the energy in the room changed permanently. You can't unmop a conversation. Once you've gone there, once you've stepped out of the debate and into the insult, you've essentially shown your hand. You've shown that the ideas ran out. And Tiffany, whether you love her or not in this situation, never went there. She stayed in the realm of questions and character and identity the entire time. And that contrast, that is what the internet has been dissecting for days. Now the real question fans are asking is this: who actually won this confrontation? Because it depends entirely on what you think winning looks like. If winning means staying composed, redirecting skillfully, and never losing your footing, a lot of people would give that to Tiffany. But if winning means walking away with the audience on your side, generating sympathy, getting people to rally around you, the mop moment actually did something unexpected. It made people feel protective. It made people pick a side. And in the entertainment world, strong reactions, even uncomfortable ones, have value. What we do know is this: both women walked into that room with something to prove, and both of them walked out having shown more than they intended. That's what happens when conversations get real, when the scripted version of yourself falls away and what's underneath comes out. This wasn't just a celebrity argument. This was two people telling on themselves in real time, and we were all watching. So now I want to hear from you, because this community has some of the sharpest takes on the entire platform, and I genuinely need to know, was Tiffany playing chess while everyone else was playing checkers? Or was the "who are you beyond the money" line just a pretty deflection from someone who had something to hide? And the mop comment, was that a moment of someone cracking under pressure? Or was it a calculated attempt to end the conversation on their terms? Drop your thoughts in the comments right now, because I am reading every single one. And if you think your friend needs to see this breakdown, share it with them, because some conversations are too layered to watch alone. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the follow-up, because something tells me this story is nowhere near over.